Python syntax. For you to be able to write a proper Python code, you have to understand the syntax of the Python programming language. And the very first important thing, or the most important thing you need to note, is what we call the Python indentation. Indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of a code line, where in other programming languages, the indentation in code is for readability only. In Python, the indentation is very important. Python uses indentation to indicate a block of code, and also you have to note that you have to use the same numbers of spaces in the same block of code, otherwise Python will give you an error. So let's see this. Let's write our first Python code. So I'm going to do a simple if statement so that we can practice with the indentation. So if I say if 5 greater than 2, take note, to end a line of code, you use the colon, okay? Not really a line of code, but it's just a statement. Then I use enter. So you can see what my editor has done here. This can be done or achieved using a tab. So in case your editor does not do this and your new line starts here, you can use your keyboard using space 1, 2, 3, 4. So decide on how many you want to use, 4 or you want to use 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for me, I've set my keyboard to use tab, that is 8 spaces. So now I can print out something and say, let's print out hello world. If 5 is greater than 2, then you save. You don't need to use a semicolon to end your sentence. Now if I run this code, you can see it works properly. Hello world has been displayed on my output terminal. Now what if I take out all the space? I drop it down here. If I save, it's still, you can see now that there is an error. It says on line 2, you know, I'm starting exactly at the same place where I started the if statement, which is wrong because this is a block of code. So it doesn't matter how many space you use. You can use one space. It's still going to work. If I run this, so you see the error we had then was indentation error, expecting an indented block after if. Okay, so it's running now even if I use one space, but it is better for you to decide on what to use. Are you going to use 4 spaces or 8 spaces or 2 spaces or 1 spaces? For me, going forward, I'll be using 8 spaces, or I could edit this to use 4. So I can change it. I will prefer to use 4 spaces. So I will advise that you always use 4 spaces too, so that when you have another line of code, let's say that I have another line of code here, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see now that I can always indent everything. So if I put my name down here, I save that and I clear this. So even though this is not a good practice, okay, it's just for you to understand that each line of code should be indented in Python. So take note of your indentation. The 2 code runs, hello world, precious Ireho. Take note of your indentation, your colon, and you don't need to end any sentence with a semicolon. So guys, this is it on Python syntax. I'll see you in the next one. Python comments. Comments can be used to explain Python code. Comments can be used to make the code more readable. Comments can also be used to prevent execution when testing code. Let's check this out. This is an example of a Python comment. So you use the hash symbol to write a comment. So I am a comment. Now I can put a piece of code here, print hello world, and our code is not going to execute with the comments. As you can see, hello world has been printed out. It ignores the comment entirely. Also, you can use this right in front of your code. You can also put a comment. I could put something like hello world here, and Python is going to ignore everything from the hash symbol. Let's check it out. Let me clear the terminal. So you can see hello world, because Python has ignored the comments that I made here. Everything runs down till this first hash symbol. Now, you can also have multi-line comments by using a number of hash. So if I do this, so I have that on 3 line, and I can say I am a Python multi-line comment. Our code is still going to run because everything here is a comment. Also, there is a third one you can use, though normally you could use this to assign a paragraph to a variable, but if you did not assign it, Python will treat it as a comment, and this is it using 3 quotes. So if I put my comment inside here, I am a long Python paragraph comments. If I save that, clear the terminal, and let's run this code, you can see it ignores everything, and still yet our last code is still running. So a recap, this section was on Python comments, and you can have a single line comment using an hash symbol, or a multi-line comment using series of hash on different lines, or you could use 3 quotes before and after to enclose your comments, and you can also have comments in front of a line of code and it will be ignored. So this is it on Python comments. I will see you in the next one. Python variables. Variables are containers for storing data values. Python variable names must start with a letter and not number. You can use camel case, Pascal case, or snake case when creating or writing your long Python variable names. So in this video, we will learn about creating, casting, the type, quotes, case sensitivity, multiple statements, and output of a Python variable. So let's get to this. To create a variable, all you need to do is just to write a name and give it a value. Age is equal to 50. And I can create another variable called name, and I will say name is equal to Precious. So because this is a string, that is why I'm using the quotes. And we can print the result out, so we can say print age, and let's see what that gives us. And age is 50. And if I also print print name, you can see Precious is shown on our terminal now. Okay? Now, like we said, creating variable names is quite straightforward. But also, you can also cast your variable. The reason is, using age is equal to 50, Python has been able to understand that this is exactly an integer. So if we want to cast this, we can change it to a string by using str before it. And let's see what it prints out when we say age. It still prints out 50. But if we try to check the type of age, so we say type age, and you can see it says class str. What if we remove the typecasting that we have on it and print it out? And you can see it's back to calling it an integer. Okay, so this is basically how you can write a Python variable, and you can also change the data type. But without changes the data type, Python understands that it is exactly the way it is. What if we do something like raise is equal to 100.5, and I check the type of this raise. Let's see what data type we're going to have. And you can see the data type is a floating number because it has a point or a dot. So in Python, you can decide to use a single quote or a double quote. So if I create a new variable called country, and I use a single quote called, and you call it Nigeria, the value is Nigeria. If I still check this out, country, type of country, clear the output, you see it is still a string, okay? Now, Python variable are case sensitive. So if you say age is equal to 50, this is totally different from that. Age is equals to 30. Let's confirm this. So now I'm just going to print out the value. So the first one is age, which is 50. But if we do this again using the other variable with capital letter A, you can see the new value is 30. So Python is case sensitive. Also, let me show you what a camel case, Pascal case, and a snake case is. What if I want to do something like my variable name? This is snake case, camel case. So if I say my variable name, this is a snake case. Okay, this is a snake case name for a variable. So I'm going to call this, camel case. And for Pascal case, you do it like this: my variable name, Pascal case. And for your snake case, you have this my, use underscore, variable name, and this is a snake case. So you can decide on any style you want to use in writing your long variable name. So what do we have next? We've done case sensitivity. Also, you can do a multiple assignment. So what if I want to assign these variables? X is equal to Y is equal to Z and is equal to 20. Let's see if this is correct. So if I clear the output, let's check for the value of Y. And as you can see, Y is 20. If I change this to Z, Z is still 20. So that is how you do multiple assignments. Also, you can put different outputs together. So if I say X plus Y plus Z, because they are integer, Python is going to do an arithmetic summation. And you have 60. But what if I want them together side by side? We use a comma. And what do you have? 20, 20, 20. So basically, this is how to get your different outputs using in Python. Okay, guys. So in this video, we've touched on creating a variable, casting a variable, checking the type, the quotation types, the case sensitivity, multiple assignments, and output of a Python variable. So guys, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Python data types. The data stored in memory can be of many types in Python. Since everything is an object in Python programming, data types are actually classes and variables are instances of these classes. So the data types we have in Python, basically you'll talk about the numeric ones, the string, the sequence, the mapping, the boolean, and the set. And the classes we'll be looking at are, inside of numeric, you have int, float, and complex. We will look at string, list, tuple, dictionary, set, and boolean, like you know very much, which are true and false. So let's get to this quickly. The first types are the numeric ones. So if I create a variable called x, or let's call it num1, so it's just easy for us to understand, and I assign this to 40, and num2, I assign this to 45.9, and num3, I assign this to something like 20, plus 2j. Now let's print them out to see what they are respectively. So if I bring out my print statement here and I print out the type of num1, we know the output, so there's no need for us to check what they are. Let's just check their type. This will direct us properly. You can see num1 is a class of int, so num1 is an integer. What if we try this with num2? You see, num2 is a class of float. And what if we try this with num3? And num3 is a class called complex. So you see, the three data types, the data types in Python, when you talk about the numeric ones, you have three types. You have the integer, you have the float, and you have the complex. The next one is called a list. A list is an ordered collection that holds similar or different values, and they are mutable. So let's create a quick list. Let's call these let's say numbers 1 is equal to. So to create a list in Python, you use the square bracket, and now you can put in values. So let's use some programming languages. Let's say Java, Swift, Python that we're doing now, and PHP, which I love. Okay. Now, first thing first, let's check the type. So type of numbers one. Okay. I'm going to clear the output here so it's new. And you can see it's a class of list. So let's put that in front. This is a list. And because it is a list, you can actually access the values. So what if we want to print out Swift? All we need to do is go 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So if you've done some other programming languages before, you will understand that the computer starts counting from 0. So Java here is at index 0, and this is at index 1, because it is ordered. So if we say 1, what do we get when we do 1? Oh, sorry, I'm doing type. Not the type now. We want to get the value. And as you can see, we have Swift. Okay? Now, we also have another type, and it's called a tuple. So let's call these numbers 2. And a tuple is similar to a list. The only difference between a list and a tuple is that in a tuple, you cannot change the values. So let's assign values to our tuple. I'll start with Microsoft. I'm just going to use some big corporations. Sony, Sharp, and let's try one more, LG. Now, let's get the type of numbers 2. Let's see what the program calls it to be. So I'm going to say type, sorry, that's in capital letter, type numbers 2, and let's see what type it is. Clear the output, and as you can see, it's a class tuple. So let's call it what it is. It is a tuple. A tuple is similar to a list. The only difference is that though it is ordered, you cannot modify the value. Now, we also have another type called a set. So I'll call this numbers 3. A set is unordered, that is, there is no index. That's just the difference. There is no index when you use a set, and we use curly braces to work with sets. So I will start with 111, 112, 113, 114. Okay, so let's check the type to be sure it is a set. I'm going to clear the output, run this. As you can see, it says class set. So this is a set. We will go deep in all these in subsequent videos, but for now, it's just for us to understand what they are and what they can do. The next one is dictionaries. Dictionaries are like your multi-dimensional array because they have key value pair. So let's go. I will do something called city is equal to, then we use the curly braces similar to set, but the difference here is that we have key value pairs. So I would say Nigeria, and you have Abuja. We have Italy, and the capital is, or a big city there is Rome. Togo, we have Lome. And let's try one more. Qatar, we have Doha. Now, let's check the type of city. So if I do city and I run this, oh, I didn't save that. Save, clear output, rerun it. As you can see, is a class dict. Dict stands for dictionary. So I will just call it dictionary, and I will also put dict in front, so you know that they are the same. You see, so we have the numeric ones, 3 numbers, integer, float, and complex. We have the list, tuple, set, and dictionary. We also have our popular and favorite one, the string. So precious. Type of name is what? Is str. So this is a string. Also, let's see if we can get our boolean. So let's go. So I will say something like hungry is equal to true. Okay, for the purpose of this, we will skip this for now. But what I want you to understand is that we have the numbers, we have the list, the tuple, the set, and the dictionary. And in subsequent videos, so it doesn't get too long, we are going to touch on these data types in depth and the other data types that we have in Python. See you guys.